Okay, what's up, everybody? I believe everyone should be able to hear me. If not, then I'll have to redo this a little later. Hope everyone had a good Thanksgiving. I just want to do a quick market update on basically what's going on, what I see. In the last video, we were talking about how I expected probably about anywhere from 60 to 90 more points of upside up towards that 47, 64 area, which, that never actually materialized. We were talking about it over here, over here, sorry. I was looking for one more run higher to make a divergent high before we had a sell off. Obviously, that never happened. We proceeded to just sell off immediately uh, over the low liquidity Thanksgiving break. So I just wanted to give an update on where we're at. So I am bullish. So what do I mean by that, right? Um, I bought around 4,600 and I stopped myself out around 45.93, right? So I'm currently not in the market. Which this is kind of what I was fearing might happen would be the initial rally, because we were just too oversold to go any lower immediately, right? So I kind of went against my own better judgment by covering there, but it at least saved me some short term pain because we did end up going down to 45.79 area. So I did save myself about 20 points of drawdown, but I kind of did figure we were gonna shoot up. So what's next, right? Well, we can start with my regular chart that I use all the time. We got our 20 EMA right here. This is the 8 EMA. This is the 20 SMA. This green line is a 1x Bollinger Band. So you can, it's just a Bollinger Band for one standard deviation setting. I use that often, right? You can see that we challenged that here, and that's what prompted that sell-off pretty much, the inability to close above it. This right here was the reason I almost shorted, but didn't. I ended up not doing it. But it is what it is. So, long story short, it's right now at least struggling to get back above into that Bollinger Band range, which is fairly normal after a large sell-off. Bears got to pick a line in the sand somewhere. I do think we'll end up trading a little bit higher than that, and that's going to kind of tell us exactly what we have in store here, right? In typical fashion, we've managed to do a pretty sharp rally here already, up 34 points, and it's only 8 o'clock right now or something like that Eastern time. So they're moving it fast already. I've added some areas of interest that I see on this chart. So the first area of interest is going to be this 46.46, and immediately above that is the 46.52.50, right? I think that if those areas trade tomorrow morning, that's your trigger to go ahead and go short, right? So we missed this down move here, but the next opportunity, if there is going to be more downside, and I believe there will be, in the short term, would be to go ahead and short this 46.52 to 46.46 range. Now, if we start trading above there, can't be short. I mean, it's pretty much simple as that. If we start trading, if we have a daily close above this area, then dip is over, and unless bears can negate that the very next day. So let's say we close at 46.55 tomorrow. If bears don't get that back below this 46.46 on Tuesday, dip is over, right? So this is the area that I would be looking to short, and Then the areas that are interesting to me on the downside is, first of all, this. Well, I guess let's go back to the bullish. Why do I find these areas interesting, right? Okay, well, I did two things here, right? I have two fixed ranged volume profiles on here. The first one is from this higher low right here, all the way up to the swing high. So this is that entire market structure, right? From when from the low to the high, okay? Right here is that 45.50, right? Which coexists with this 45.50 previous all-time high, right? So that area is a very, very, very important area. I mean, you can see it in the volume profile. You can see it's on the previous high, right, et cetera, et cetera. It hasn't been tested yet, right? That's why I think that there's going to be another down leg. But in terms of the bullish targets, you can see that we have the intersection of a high volume node area with a low volume node area, right? So right there, that's going to automatically point this area is significant to me. And then if we look at this sell off from the high to today, right, that's what this fixed range is. You'll see that that's the beginning of the value area, right? So this is an area, this 6 points is an area of confluence where if we're above, you got to favor the bulls for new highs. And if we're below, you got to favor the bears are going to get new lows. All right, so it's really that kind of simple. So in between this 45.76, which was Friday's low, and this 46 and 46.52 is kind of a no man's land. It's 75 points. It's a large no man's land, but it is what it is. I would only be interested in taking trades at one of these areas, basically, right? So if we manage to trade up here tomorrow, especially early in the day, would be ideal. Like sometime around the open would just be perfect. I will go ahead and take a short. 46.52.50 would be the ideal spot, and 46.46 would also be, a possible short area, right? Somewhere in that little 6 point range. If we start trading above there, then, I would, at that point, gotta figure that the dip is already over, right? And unless the bears can prove otherwise. All right. So then let's discuss the bearish targets, right? So we got 45, 76, 75. That was the previous low that we made on Friday, right smack in the middle of a high volume node and a rejection candle before we went ahead and cruised on to the next all-time high here, right? So that area is the top of the candle, right? You can see that caught as support, right? So it's basically bulls trying to say, hey, the move's not over yet, right? We can go ahead and trade down in these lower areas for pretty much a day, but then you need to have a recovery, right? So the bulls did a very good job of keeping this move alive for another day, so to speak, by basically buying it up right from that spot. So that'll be the first thing that has to break. If we go back down there again, it will break after this sort of run, and then this sort of bearish engulfing candle, this level, I can almost guarantee you breaks. Then that brings us to the next very, very interesting level, right? That is 45.49.50, right here at the previous all-time high. Okay. Now this is a very, very, very appealing area to buy. Okay, if this area was to trade, you kind of gotta buy it, right? Now my only concern is how this area trades. So what do I mean by that, right? Well, if we go up to 46.50 tomorrow and we reject, and we end up putting in some sort of rejection candle here, right, off that zone, then come Tuesday, you know, we'll probably still be somewhere around here, and then it'll finally sell. And how early in the day this level trades is kind of gonna determine whether or not I buy it, right? So what do I mean by that, right? Down here, this 44.93 area, whenever you have these big runs, like if we were looking at the IWM chart, small caps, you would see we had like a fake breakup, and then we ended up breaking back down. Those are sort of what I look for on these major sort of like reversals. So everyone and their mom right now is thinking, all right, this is that was the high. You know, this is a candle that you see like, all right, all time high candle. You know, the highs are in type of deal, right? That's what a shockingly large amount of people are thinking right now. Okay, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that, right? But you got to play the price action. So when you have these very large bearish rejection candles like that, and then you have a level that everyone is talking about, and everyone is talking about 45.50, everyone, okay? Everyone and their mom wants to buy here, all right? And rightfully so. It makes a lot of sense. It's the previous all-time high. It's the value area for the entire swing low to the swing high. There's a shit ton of, this is like a HAMA EMA. There's a shit ton of confluence here, okay? So it makes perfect sense to buy here. But what I'm saying is, depending on when this area trades is going to be very important. If this area trades early in the morning, you know, if we get down there, and you can't come this far and not get down there. It's got to come here, right? It's got to check it out. If it trades in the morning, that's about as good of a buy signal as you can get. If it trades late in the session towards 4 o'clock, and if that's the case, it'll likely break, right? We'll likely close below it. And again, we're talking, this might be Tuesday or Wednesday, right? But if it trades below and closes below that, then we're going to very quickly head on down to this 44.93 level. This is a low volume node, and there's this. It's also going to fill a gap on the SPX chart, right? So the SPX chart, I want to say there's a gap at like 44.90 something, right? So somewhere in there, there's a gap. I don't have the chart up. We're looking at the ES ticker, but it's going to fill that gap, and that would then be, you know, the ideal spot to buy, right? But again, this 45.50 to 44.93, that's all going to happen really fast, right? That's going to happen in one session, and then it's going to hard bounce from that if that does happen, right? So again, just so I'm kind of crystal clear here on what I think based on futures is currently happening. This 46.52 area, 46.46, probably going to trade sometime tomorrow. That'll be a short. And then this 45.50 again is going to be the first area that I'm really interested in buying. And if it trades in the morning, right, then I'm going to want to buy it. And I'm going to want to, you know, at that point, the onus is on the bears to make this 44.93 trade. All right, so if it trades in the morning, I'm going to buy that, and you set some trailing stops, you forget about it. If it trades late in the session and it closes at the lows, normally, just like here, when it closes at the lows, it's going to be bullish. But breaking this previous all-time high, if that breaks, is going to be very, very, very bearish. So you don't want to be long in that scenario if it closes at the lows late in the session. At that point, I would expect a gap down the following day towards this 44.93 level. And this is when you'll have peak bear FOMO. You know, everyone if we're back in the 4400s, we're going down to 2800 and yada, 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 blah, blah, blah. You want to buy that, right? There's already, Carl Icahns already selling putts, right? So I mean, there's people, powerful forces already trying to make this the bottom. As we see, they're trying to make this the bottom. But I do think that we can't come this far and not test the previous all-time high. Okay, so I mean, I think that if I think that this has to trade at this point, right? And I think that'll probably trade Tuesday or Wednesday. If it trades in the morning, you're going to want to buy it and probably forget about it till January. If it trades late in the session, we might get a run at this 44.93 level. Okay, so that's where we're at. This 46.52 to 45.76, kind of no man's land. You can day trade that. You can, take a few shots or whatever. But I'm kind of just interested in playing at these extremes. And then we'll go from there, right? So tomorrow we might take a short up in that area, which, it's looking like that area is going to trade, right? We're already 13 points away. I'd expect that it's 8:36. Asia's going to be opening up and get a little bearish. So I would expect that sometime tomorrow morning these areas will trade. If we start trading above it, got to be careful. Like I said, there's a lot of strong forces here already trying to put this as a dip, right? They're trying to make this the dip. Powerful forces at play trying to make that happen, right? So can't be stubborn here on the short side. If we start closing above this level here, right, then you kind of gotta forget the short. The short was here, and this was the dip, right? So hopefully that's not the case. This is kind of what I was afraid of might have happened, and of course it did happen, but it's the way the cookie crumbles. So hopefully they'll give us another opportunity to sell it and buy it lower towards that 45.50 level, which everyone is waiting to see. So, all right, guys, best of luck this week, and hit me up if you got any questions.